Hi y'all, it's Angela here at the Chicken Coop, and I've tried to do this video a couple of times, and I just seems like I can't get the words right or the thoughts right to tell y'all about how we got started into homesteading. Probably it goes back to when I was younger. My grandmother and my aunt and uncle lived in a small community near here called Golden, Texas. A very small little community, had like a little general store, a little crossroads, and a consolidated school district in a post office, and that was about it. But it was a big farming community. My grandmother always had a garden. My aunt and uncle had a garden. They had an orchard. They had a pond, horses, might have pigs, always had chickens. And I just loved going out there visiting. I loved being with my grandmother and playing with my cousins, and I loved going out to my aunt and uncle. And my aunt and uncle did not ever have any children together, and so they spoiled my cousins and I. Whenever we went over there, it was always a fun time. And I just have, I guess idyllic memories of going to my aunts and uncles and gathering the eggs and gathering stuff in the garden and eating, the fresh watermelon and making ice cream, and my aunt and my grandmother would can some, and I just have really good memories of that. Now, my mother did not like to do any of that. Now, she sewed and she was a good cook and all that kind of stuff, but to her, her daddy died when she was young, when she was 9 years old, and so to her, all that was because they had to. And so she, I guess, did not like that. She wanted to marry and move off, and they've lived all over the world. My daddy was in the military, and so I'm the only one in my family that talks like this in East Texas, because they were all in the military and lived all over the world. When she came back to Texas, she wanted to come back here to be with her family, but she did not want to do the country stuff. She didn't do all that. So I guess I had an idealistic perspective of it from my aunt and uncle. And so then when we bought this place, our homestead reminds me so much of the way my aunt and uncle's place was laid out. Where the barn is, the pond is, how it slopes down with a big hill down to our pond. That was just like my aunt and uncle's house. And so little by little, some of the things that we did, we started out with a very small garden, like tomatoes, peppers, and just a little something, nothing big. And then I started having chickens, and of course we got horses, and then we've raised pigs, and then I've hatched my chicks and all sorts of stuff. A big garden, and then every year my garden has just gotten bigger and bigger and expanded. But really and truly, this homestead stuff I've been drawn to from a very early age. I mean, like, I wanted to learn to crochet, I wanted to learn to sew, I wanted to learn to just old-timey things. Anything old-timey, I wanted to learn how to do it. And that's not how I was raised, so it's just kind of in me. And of course, I married a man that likes to hunt and everything, but he was raised in a bigger city. He was raised in Jackson, Tennessee, in town, but he did like to hunt and fish and stuff like that. So, he liked that part of it. I was never raised around, cleaning fish and cooking it, or cleaning, food and processing it. I never did any of that till I married him. But just little by little, we did those type of things. And of course, my son was into it. My daughter loved the animals. She liked the horses and things like that. But when our kids were younger, we whatever our kids were into, that's what we were into. We didn't really have the time with working and everything to do too many other activities than what our kids were into. And our kids were into everything. And so we don't regret that at all, but it was just that was the season in our life. But I always would sew, and I would make dresses for my daughter and things like that. I was always crafty and sewing and that kind of stuff. But little by little, I started learning to can. I could make jelly. I could do pickles, or anything. Put up tomatoes. I could do that kind of stuff. So it's just been in the last probably 4 or 5 years that I've really delved into all this. I knew a little bit about it But I really just wanted to get into it, and now I'm really into my garden. Has gotten bigger and better every year. Of course, we have more and more chickens. I started out with 4 or 5, and now the most I've had is like 50. I've hatched my own eggs, just all that kind of fun stuff. But that's kind of how we got started on our homestead. And I tell y'all all the time, our property is so unusual. We live in town. Walmart, Taco Bell is right up the road from us. I can see them out my driveway, but we have 5.5 acres here that's totally secluded, that even people that have grown up and lived in this town their whole life have no idea what's back behind our house and what it looks like and how it's set up, and they're just shocked that it's like a little tucked away little nook of paradise of country right here in the city. So that's how we got into homesteading. I think it's just something you are drawn to, that you want to do, that you have interest in, and then you just build on it. And if you don't, no one is born knowing all this information. Someone either has to teach you, or you have to go and seek it out and learn about it, and trial by error. And I guess that's what we did. If we wanted to do something, we learned about it. When we bought this place, it was just open. We didn't have any fences, and my daughter was going to get a horse, and so we had to put a fence up. My husband never built a fence, but we just learned, and we researched and studied, and he asked questions, and we just did it. If we decided we needed to do it, we just figured out a way to do it. And that's what I just want to tell y'all. If you're interested in homesteading, you can do a little bit or a lot, but you start where you're at. If you still live in town, you can homestead in town. You could raise rabbits, you could raise quail, you could raise chickens. There's lots of things you could do in town to start learning your homesteading skills. You could start sewing, canning, preserving, just keeping a well-stocked pantry, learning how to cook, learning how to grow, have a small garden. You would be so shocked at how 4 tomato plants, how many tomatoes you would get off 4 tomato plants. It is, you really just need to get in there and get going. Even if you have a dream to have 5 acres, 15 acres, have cattle, have whatever, if you're not there yet, don't wait till you have all the idyllic situation to start homesteading, because then you're going to be in overload and you're going to want to do everything, and it's a recipe for disaster. We started out slow and added on more and more and more things. And I wish they'd had something like YouTube back in the day when we started, so I could show you how we remodeled our barn and how this property was just nothing but a swamp and briars and brambles, and we cleared it all out, and we cleaned up the shop. All you could do was open the doors and it was just packed to the gills, and we cleaned all that out and painted and remodeled our house, and how we put in an irrigation system and built a greenhouse and built our garden, but we just did it little bit over time. We have a lot of things. We are so blessed that we have so much stuff right now, but it didn't happen overnight. It took some time, and we just didn't have the opportunity to share that with you. But like we have an irrigation system that my husband pumps out of our pond, pumps up and irrigates our pastures. So we have it's like a golf course out in our pastures for our horses. It looks crazy. And then we have fountains, and then we have that water's pumped up here so that I can water my garden, and it's on different times, and it's just, as a matter of fact, I told my son-in-law the other day, I said, you really need to get down there and go and look at that pump box and start learning what your father-in-law has made, because no one else would know what he did down there. So you've got to start learning, so when we give you this farm here, you'll know what to do with any of this stuff, because only my husband would know how to do it. But we just kept going, just move forward. And I used to buy my peas and shell peas and put up peas, And now I'm growing peas and shelling peas. But you know, it was just one step at a time. I just did a little bit more. But I didn't stop me from learning what I needed to do. You just got to start where you're at. And you can homestead a little or you can homestead a lot, but just do what you can do what you can afford. But I'm telling you, that's one thing I preach about my homestead. We have done everything we've done on our homestead. We haven't done it cheaply. Everything is well made and well built, but we've done it as cheap as possible, and we've always been our own labor force. And I'm telling you, that is one thing I can tell you how to do it, is do it on the cheap. Do it as economically as possible. And you know, also doing it yourself, everything yourself. And even if you've never done it before, watch videos, watch YouTube. You can learn so much to do so much on YouTube. So just thanks for watching with me. That's how the Chicken Coop got born. And people probably wonder, well, why'd you name it the Chicken Coop? I guess that was my foray into homesteading, was chickens. And I always wanted chickens, and I wanted chickens so bad, and went for years without getting them. And so when I got my chickens, that kind of started it all. So that's why we're called the Chicken Coop. If you like my videos, please like and subscribe and share it with your friends. So thanks for visiting with me, and y'all, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye-bye.